Episode 3. Here we are, episode 3. Welcome back to Dynamic Life Today podcast. Um, for this episode, I talked to my favorite daughter, as I call her. She's my only daughter, Cailyn. And she is, I keep saying she's 15 going on 65. As far as her wisdom and her thoughts and the questions she asks me and stuff like that. So she is just full of insight, full of great questions, and we talk about faith a bit. We talk about theater because that's what the kids are into. My kids are into, and just what's going on with that, and how amazing that group is, and just some of the deeper spiritual stuff that most 15-year-olds aren't asking about. Some are, but she just has a very deep understanding of things that trips me out always. So it's a great conversation. Hope you guys enjoy it. I do remember the thing that I in my last intro, there was something where I was like, I feel like I'm forgetting something. So what I want to do, as you'll see in our intro, we've got this cheesy intro that I created like 5 years ago when I was first trying to get this started. And it's just an intro where, you kind of plug and play, throw in some pictures and videos, and the rest of the video just kind of fills in kind of thing. So, pretty lame, self-made kind of thing. So what I'd like to do is throw this out to you guys. If you're listening to this and you have that kind of talent, like you think you might want to, or you already do this kind of thing, and you'd like to work on our intro and outro, we definitely need a new one. And I just kind of want to engage with you guys, kind of get you guys going. We are kind of grassroots. We are kind of just getting started. None of this is monetized yet. I'm kind of throwing my own money at this. So, I'm kind of looking for a few people to throw something at me that we can kind of vote on and see, which one we want to use. I might have a little bit of money I can throw your way, but definitely all the credit in the world will, you can claim it, and we'll give you credit for it in every single podcast. And there's other podcasts that I want to start also, so that could turn into, I don't know that it's ever, I don't want to oversell this. I don't know that it's ever going to be like a 6-figure income kind of thing, but definitely a relationship where, the other podcasts will use you for, and if you have other talents that we can use in the podcast, then we'll use that also and create kind of a job out of it. So, so if you guys want to do that, send your entries to Cameron at dynamiclifetoday.com, and we will, take a look at them and kind of vote on which one we want to use. And if you have any questions, you can also email me at that email address if you have any questions, that kind of guide you in the direction you want to go. But let's do that. And merch, I'm going to say merch in March. That way I've put it out there, and so keeps me accountable. I have to do it. So I'm going to have to create the website and put some merch up. And I think some of this merch is going to be cool, man. I think some of it's going to be cool to me. I don't know whether you'll find it cool or not. It's always so subjective, but I think it's cool. So look forward to that, and I will let you know when it's actually up. But the reason I'm doing this little prep is just so that I have to keep myself accountable to get that done in March. So, and that'll be merch for Dynamic Life Studios. So that'll include We the Village and Dynamic Life Today, and then eventually all the other podcasts that we're planning on starting. So take a look at that, and I think that's all I have to say. So without further ado, let's go talk to Cailyn. All right, everybody, welcome to episode 3 of the Dynamic Life Today podcast. I got a special guest with me, as you heard in the intro. Today I've got my favorite daughter with me. Her name is Cailyn. She's amazing. Welcome to the podcast, Cailyn.
Hi.
She's totally unprepared for this, but actually, maybe we don't need these headphones because I can't hear you through here. Can you hear me through the headphones, or?
No, I can just hear your voice.
But you can hear yourself through the headphones?
Mm-hmm.
Wonder why that is. Okay, we'll figure that out later, but I guess we don't need them. We're going on the fly. So, welcome to the Dynamic Life Today podcast. You can look at me if you want. You don't have to look at the camera. I know it's kind of weird because we got the cameras off to the sides, but that's all right. I like to look at the people I'm talking to, so... nothing. That's like Cailyn's greeting to me all the time. What's up? Nothing, dude. So yes, come on here. What do you want to talk about? No, I'm just kidding.
I was like, what? I did?
What should we start with? Should we start with...
I don't even know what we're talking about, man.
I know. That's what makes it fun. I don't want you to know what we were talking about, because then you'd be all prepared and everything. Let's start with a little bit of... Actually, let's start with what we're working on right now. You've got theater going on. Theater is one of your favorite things, is it not?
Yeah.
Yeah. What are you in right now?
I'm in The Lion King Jr.
Lion King Jr.? Cool. Talk a little bit louder. You got
Okay.
your quiet voice going. Just talk in your normal voice. Like, just be Cailyn.
That was my normal voice.
No, normal Cailyn is not that quiet. Normal Cailyn is not that quiet. So, Lion King Jr., what's your part in Lion King Jr.?
I am a zebra, a hyena, and a gecko.
A zebra, a hyena, and a gecko all at the same time?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, you can just push the number and enter, Colin, and that it's not working? Okay. Okay, well, try to make sure you're on the person that's talking. No problem. Colin's learning how to produce this thing, so we're learning as we go along. I thought I had it set up, but maybe not. So Lion King Jr., you're playing a gecko, a hyena,
Yeah. And a zebra.
and a zebra. Fun. Which one's your favorite?
Hyena.
Hyena? Why is that?
100%. It's just so fun.
Yeah.
Like, it's really, like, it's flowy and, like, it's just fun to be, like, scary, I guess.
Yeah.
And the numbers are really fun, the dance numbers.
Yeah. And you're in the ensemble this time, so you're singing and dancing and having fun with that.
Yes, sir.
And your brother got in his first time out. That's pretty cool. What's he playing?
He is a frog, a wildebeest in the stampede, and an elephant. It's one big elephant.
That's
with
right.
Like 5 or 6 boys.
Yeah, he's part of that elephant.
Mm-hmm.
I'm interested to see what that, having seen it in Hollywood, I'm interested to see what they come up with, because as of today, they haven't
I've been
costumed
really
them out yet.
to see it.
Yeah. What's your favorite scene to play so far in this one?
Scene? I'm not really in a lot of scenes, but I don't know. I just really like anything with the hyenas. It's so fun. And the laughs are really fun. The little hyena high-pitched laughs.
Yeah. Yeah, it is fun. You know what's funny about this one is that I wasn't sure I was going to be excited about, because I've seen Lion King before. It's Disney, I've seen the cartoon plenty of times, and I saw the musical in Hollywood, and so I kind of thought this was just going to be... I work backstage, for those of you that don't know. I work backstage for Cat Corona, that is their theater group. And just because I've seen it so much, I didn't think I was going to enjoy it quite as much, as much as we see it. But it's been a lot of... I'm really enjoying watching you guys. It's...
I It's a fun show.
It's a fun show, and it's funny how when you know the people that are in it, it's a whole lot more enjoyable than like even stuff that I wouldn't normally like. I like it because you guys are in it, or even the other kids. Like I always say I'm proud of kids that aren't even my own because that group just is, and especially having, I'm not gonna call anybody out, but having witnessed other youth theater groups, like you guys are just a step above everything. It's really incredible what your group is doing. So, what's the next one is Footloose, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Is there a part you're hoping to get in that one?
I don't really know the show too well, but I was watching a little bit of it on like a random theater on YouTube with my friend the other day, and there was this trio of girls that I think are the main girls' friends, and they just have like really fun songs to sing. I always love like a good trio song, so I don't know. I think that would be really fun to be one of those girls.
That'd be cool. That would definitely be cool. And I can't remember what they're doing the cutoff for, because they're doing two shows next time. They're doing Descendants and Footloose, but you're above the cutoff, right? Or
no,
you're
I'm
right
like,
at the cutoff,
I'm
but
right
you can
at the cutoff.
Yeah. But you're gonna audition for
I'm gonna audition for Footloose. It's a senior show, and I really want to do that one.
Yeah, I'd like to see you in it too. I think it'd be great. What have you been learning faith-wise? Like, let's talk about your faith a little bit. But I want to take it back a little bit in a few minutes. But what's your kind of, normally we talk about the 6 F's: faith, family, finance, fitness, forgiveness, fun, as the 6 F's to freedom. So I usually start with faith. The other ones, like, you're not going to have much in the way of finance or, fitness necessarily. But I always start with the first one and the last one. So what's kind of been your faith journey, in what's led you here, and what are you learning now? Like, is there anything you want to share faith-wise that, something you've been reading that has stuck out to you, or anything about your journey to this point in your 14 years? I tell my therapist you're 14 going on, are you 15 yet? No, you're turning 15, right?
I'm almost 15.
You're almost 15, yeah. You're turning 15 next month. Okay.
Yeah.
I always lose track, man.
Few
I always
weeks.
feel bad because people are like, what grade are your kids in? I'm like, I don't know. I forget.
They're homeschooled. I have no idea.
Who cares? So I always tell my therapist you're 15 going on 65 with just your knowledge and your ability to reason and think. So yeah, what have you been studying? What have you been thinking about?
Well, recently I've started studying. I started Psalms yesterday. I've gotten through, I don't remember how many, but I've gotten through a few. And I'm also reading through Genesis. I got a new Bible a few months ago, not quite a year ago yet, but so books that I've already read anyway, I'm reading through them again because I like making little notes in my Bible. But I don't know, something that stuck out to me like today was I was reading so the first few Psalms, David refers to God as his shield a lot, and I think I read about this yesterday, but it didn't even like process in my brain till earlier today because I was reading Genesis, and God was telling Abraham that he is his shield, and I was like, like that's 2 times you've told me that in different books. So I was like, okay, God is my shield. And then recently I've also been learning a lot about love and God's love for us. The verse of the day today is, I think, John 3:1 or something. I don't know. Let me read it because I really liked it. Let's see. John 3:1. I knew it. See what great love the Father has lavished on us, that we should be called children of God, and that is what we are. The reason the world does not know us is that it did not know him. I love being a child of God. That's like my favorite title in the world, and I am so grateful that I can claim that title. and just share God's love with everybody around me. That's like my favorite thing.
Yeah. What do you think about the common phrase that we're all children of God? Have you thought about that or studied it at all? Or
I have thought about that. I believe that God calls those who have faith and believe in Him to be His children, and He will accept anybody who believes as His child. But I don't think that if you're not living your life for the Lord, I don't really think that's a title that's bestowed upon you. But yeah, it doesn't like matter who you are, what you've done. He will accept you as His child as long as you have faith and believe in Him.
I think it's John 1 actually, if you want to look in there, but it does say to those who believe in Him, He gives the right to become children of God.
Mhm.
Is that
Yeah,
John 1?
I believe so.
Yeah,
Somewhere
I think
in
so.
John.
So yeah, that's always been kind of an interesting one because it was something I never thought about for a
Mhm.
long time until I was learning under somebody else, and he kind of pointed that out. Like, we're not all God's children. We're
Yeah.
we're given the right to become children of God. So,
Yeah.
um, and I don't know where everybody stands on that. I particularly now and in this podcast, like, I think it's better to have faith in something than to have faith in
Mhm.
nothing. I don't know how you kind of get through it if you don't have faith in anything. I mean, people do, I guess, um, but yeah, that's an interesting. So you've talked a little bit about what are some of the things that God has kind of done in your life that stick out to you?
Hmm. um. I mean, I guess even just like little moments like last night. After rehearsal, I texted one of my best friends, Savannah, and I was just thinking about her. I don't know, God just put her on my heart, and um, I told her that she's like one of the most beautiful girls I've ever met, inside and out. And she was like, I really needed to hear that. Thank you so much. So even just like little moments like that, because I can't, on the spot, I can't think of any huge moments. I mean, there was my cousin who I prayed for a lot, and he accepted God as his Lord and Savior. He's done lots of things, but it just made me so, excited and grateful that God even accepts people who haven't been living their lives for Him,
Yeah.
as long as they start to.
And you're actually, I don't want to call him out, but it is kind of a cool story because you're actually talking about your
Mhm.
cousin that's in prison,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he won't. I won't call him out and say what he
Yeah.
did. He can talk for himself, but he is in prison and found God in prison.
Yeah.
Some people go to prison and just stay the same person, but
Mhm.
he really kind of found his faith. So yeah, that is pretty cool. Um, one of the coolest thing. Did we? I've told you the story about losing you at the fair, right? You
Yeah.
know the story. So
Yeah.
the reason I like talking faith with you particularly is because, and I'll tell the story on here. When you were 2,
Probably. I don't remember it.
not quite 2, maybe you were talking. So
I was talking at like 1.5.
yeah, that's why I'm saying you may not have quite been 2. Anyway, we went to the LA County Fair. Haven't been since for this reason. Like, never stepping foot in there again, even though my kids are all old enough to take care of themselves. But um, we had left the 3 of you to go through this little hay maze and everything, and then went to the. It should have been a closed loop. Like, Mom and I went to the other end to catch you guys on the other side,
Mhm.
and Cailyn came out, Liam came out, and you didn't come out, and Mom started freaking out immediately, and I was just like, she's in there somewhere. She's on her way out, and then as time went on, I started freaking out. I'm like, she's not in there. Where is she? Like, if somebody took off with her, she's gone. Like, this is one of the biggest moments of faith in my life because I was just like, if somebody took her, we're not getting you back. Like that was how serious that was. And so we're both kind of panicking. We told somebody at the desk that was right next to the maze, and they put out an announcement and everything. And finally, a couple girls who were outside came in and thought they had you, brought you in, and you had just wandered out. I don't even know. I still don't, to this day, don't know what happened. You must have gone back out the entrance or something and just wandered outside. And so we found you, and like, I was holding it together. It was okay. And, we put you in the stroller and kind of moved on, never let you out of our sight for the next 14 years. And there was a moment where, I'm trying to remember the exact way it went, but there was a moment where you looked back at me and said, I think it was two different moments. So there was a moment where you looked back at me and said, "You always find me, Daddy." And like, that destroyed me.
I didn't know that part.
Oh my gosh, I was
I'm
done.
gonna cry.
Oh, I was done. I was absolutely, I did too. Like, I was all together. I was fine. You're like, okay, we found her. We're good. She's safe. Everything's good. And you hadn't shed a tear yet. And you turned around and said that. And I was just done. I was a mess for the rest of the day. But the more interesting part that I love telling is that a moment later you kind of looked back at me, and the way I have to tell this story every time I tell it is that because the only way I can think to describe this is you looked at me the way I feel like Jesus had to look at his parents when he was at the temple and they lost him and then went and found him, and he was just like matter of fact about it, like, I was doing my dad's business, what? But you had this look in your eye, like there was something you knew that, I mean, at 18 months old or whatever you were, like there was something you knew that I didn't know, or some sort of wisdom in you. And dang it. Oh, this one's going to be a mess.
It's okay, guys. My dad's a very emotional guy.
I'm an empath, for those of you who don't know, so
Me too.
Especially when it comes to my kids. And watching you grow up, and this isn't to take away from Liam and Cailyn, because I love them dearly and they're very mature too, in the faith, but after having seen that look and then watch you grow up and just know things that you shouldn't know and ask me questions that it's like no freaking 14-year-old is asking, and I've verified, like I've said some of the things to my therapist that you've asked me, and she's like, her jaw just drops. She's like, what? She's 14. Like, why is she asking you that? I don't know. Like,
Don't ask me.
She's just beyond her year, and that's why I say you're 15 going on 65, because the questions you ask, and it's not that you look old, it's that you think old.
I do.
But that's always been an awesome story that I love telling, just because it's such a cool. Not only did I feel that in that moment, but I've watched it happen over these last 14 years, and just the amount of maturity that you've shown, and the amount of just the interesting questions you you like no other 15-year-old. Actually, your brothers do this to me too, but no other 15-year-old that I know actually get me thinking. Like you'll ask me questions and I'm just like, gosh dang it, Cailyn, I don't know.
I'll ask you at like 9 o'clock.
Oh, that's
night.
The worst. Is like,
you're like,
I'm like head on the pillow, my
sleep.
eyelids are closing, and you're like, hey, Dad, what's the meaning of? I don't know. Goodness gracious, Cailyn, because you do all your thinking at night.
I do.
So.
And my talking.
Yeah, that too. So I try to get you to wait until morning to ask me stuff, but it's fun, and. Like, I don't get frustrated because I don't know how to answer. I get frustrated because I want to answer, and I just am not in the headspace at 9 o'clock at night to do that. So, faith, family, finance. Let's see, family. You've got a twin brother.
I do.
People don't know that about us yet. You guys were a surprise.
Oh.
Yeah, that was a. Well, no, you were. It was a surprise that you were twins. You weren't a surprise. Like, we were trying to have you guys, but it was pretty funny because when we had you guys, I was running my first coffee shop, and Mom had brought in I had stepped out for something. Mom brought in the ultrasound and left it with the girls at the front, and the girls for like an hour were just like, look at the ultrasound, look at the ultrasound. I'm like, I'm busy. We got a coffee shop to run. We've got customers. I'm busy. And I was trying to get everything clean and trying to run the shop and everything. And finally, I sarcastically, I think one of them held it up or something and told me to look at it. And I sarcastically just went, oh my gosh. Like the instant I looked at it, I knew what I was looking at. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this. And I think Mom had a dream when she had Cailyn or something that she had twins. So it was, almost a prophetic thing. And there's no twins. There may be twins in her side of the family, but the records are bad, so we don't know. So it's kind of weird because usually you have twins in the family, and usually they're on the mother's side. So
Really?
Mother's side, father's side? I think it's the mother's side.
Well, my last name means twin, so.
Your last name means twin?
Yeah, Thomas means twin.
Really?
It says that in the Bible, Dad.
Oh, I didn't know that. Huh.
Or in my Bible, it does.
I wonder if the Greek version of it means twin.
I think
Maybe.
I don't know, but I think just if you look it up, that's what it says.
Interesting. I don't know that I've ever looked up our last name. I know
Really?
my first name means crooked nose and Scottish, but yeah, that was our big surprise was we.
Yeah.
And then that was a whole other adventure with the medical staff and trying to do things the way that we wanted to, and you guys came out and you were so much fun, man. Like you couldn't just feed at the same time. You had to, one would wake up, and as soon as you were done, the other one would wake up. And I don't think Mom slept for those first 2 years at all.
Probably not.
Yeah, fun stories. What are some other fun stories with you?
Didn't the doctor, I don't know if you told me this or Mom told me this, but the doctor, took me to the side while they were still working on Liam and started
well, that's what I was talking about with
me, and you're like, what the heck are you doing?
Yeah, that was weird, man. that was one of the things with the medical staff that I was talking about, where we wanted everything a certain way and everything, and we went to naturopaths and had a doula and we had you guys in the hospital, but we had a midwife on hand, not a doula. And so you came out, and Liam had flipped, so they were going to have to do a C-section, and that's a whole other... so they were going to do a C-section, but they pulled you out and put you off to the side, and we're just like they were literally had a towel and were scrubbing you. Babies come out with, I forget what it's called, but the kind of white layer on their skin, and your skin just absorbs it. You don't have to do anything with it. It's supposed to just absorb it. But medical staff in general thinks, they're trained to wipe it off and get it off and everything. But it wasn't gentle. It was like she was taking a scouring pad to you. I'm like, what are you doing? Knock it off. She's fine. I know. And they're like, oh, we need to stimulate the baby. I'm like, she just came out of a hole the size of a lemon. You think she's not stimulated? What's wrong with you people? Do they really? Is this how they train you? So yeah, that was such a nightmare dealing with those people. Cailyn was born in the same hospital, and I'm pretty sure that the doctor broke Mom's water. We both kind of are, because he went to check how dilated she was, and he was kind of rough, so I think he broke her water just to make us stay, because after that he was like, oh, your water broke, so you guys have to stay, and it was another 30 hours or something before Cailyn came, so it's just yeah, it was
Wait, so it didn't break naturally? He broke it?
We don't know, but we think so.
That's so mean.
Yeah, I know. It was ridiculous. So I hope none of you have little kids that are listening to this that don't know about that kind of stuff, but whatever. That's pretty mild.
We're not going to go too deep into this conversation, but I want to do all that at home. I don't want to go to a hospital.
Yeah. So you have thought about that a little bit? You're going to do the whole thing at home?
Yeah, it's
You're going to go out in the backyard and...
No. Silly goose. No, not in the backyard.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough because it's like you do have control over your body, but medical staff generally aren't trained that way. So, I tried to not be a pain in their neck as much as I could, but still not have weird stuff going on and everything. And, so when Cailyn was born, we were playing a Chris Tomlin album. And I had brought the music in, and the midwife was kind of iffy about it. She was like, oh, because I guess like a lot of people bring it in and play like Metallica and just all kinds of weird stuff. And I turned Chris Tomlin on. And she said, oh. She was like, okay, I'm cool with that. But yeah, I asked her why, and she was like, oh, well, dude, we get people playing death metal and everything else when kids are being born. I'm like, really?
Hello?
That doesn't seem like it would be very relaxing.
That's not very baby appropriate.
Yeah.
Not very newborn baby appropriate.
Yeah, it's pretty rock and roll, though.
I mean, I guess if you want to start at an early age, that's earliest you can go.
Yeah, and some people do. Some people think that way, I guess. So, let's see, what else can we talk about? Why don't you show them your shoes? You do a little bit of embroidery for fun.
My shoes in that
Yeah,
camera.
and these are, in that
Here
camera
are my
there. So those are a
shoes.
pair of shoes that you did.
Yeah.
I kind of wish
Wait.
you still had it was Savannah that you did that other pair for, right?
I have pictures.
Yeah.
Or is there a way you can put them on the screen later?
There is, but I would have had to set it up beforehand, so we'll
Well, let's
not worry about that.
let's try. Keep talking. We're all good.
Keep talking. No, because Cailyn would have to actually set it up, so.
Oh, well,
There's
I
no way
was
to
just
actually
going to
see
be
it.
like,
Oh, yeah, I guess you could. You could try doing that.
Here they are. So she wanted, I'll try right there. I forgot. She wanted some verses on the back. You can kind of see.
Oh, I didn't see you do that. I saw
green.
the sides of it.
That's like the side so that you can see the verses, but you can't see that on camera. And then that's like the
Yeah, you can see that pretty good.
logo.
Yeah,
Because
that's
I
like
zoomed in. And then there's the other side.
Yeah,
I have
that's so rad.
closer pictures.
Zoom in on that a little bit. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Zoom in a little bit, and then yeah. Yeah, perfect.
Alright, hold on. I can't do this backwards. Okay.
Why not?
There we go.
Yeah, there we go.
They're
I'm
on
just so
green
impressed with that.
canvas.
That's so rad.
Thank you.
And how'd you start doing that? Did you just one day like, oh, I want to embroider some shoes?
I probably saw something on like Pinterest or something, and I was like, that looks fun. I want to try it. So I asked Mom to buy me some thread. We used our funds. You can get like a whole bunch for like $5.
Yep.
It's pretty cool. And then I don't know. I have a bag that I did too. I didn't think to bring that. I just brought a pair of shoes, but it's okay. It's like a big sun, and then it says "Be happy" in the middle. I think it's got a little heart and smiley face. It's really cool. I like it. So I started with that, and then this was also one of my first projects, these shoes, because I'm in love with Andrew Garfield, so his initials are on the back.
Yeah, why don't you tell that story? That was a fun story.
Oh, yeah. So we were at my grandpa's 70th birthday party, and it hadn't started yet, but a couple days earlier, my mom sent me a picture of her friend on a plane. Her friend is a flight attendant, and she was on a plane with Andrew Garfield, and I thought it was an old photo. I thought it was like from years ago. So I was like, no way, that's so cool. And I said in all caps I would have confessed my love to him on the spot. And so she sent that to her friend, and her friend showed him. So I guess he saw my little love confession, and he wrote me a little note on a Delta Airlines postcard. And it says, I think it just says Cailyn, lots of love, and then his signature,
Yeah.
and then in parentheses Spider-Man. Um, his signature. I'm sorry, Andrew. His signature is incredibly messy. But that's okay. He wrote my name. He wrote my name, guys.
I know. It's
He wrote.
pretty rad.
He wrote my. I started crying.
That was the funniest part for me because I had no idea that you like actually had this crush on him, and then you started crying at this stupid note. I was like, really?
I was like
All
trying
right.
not to cry. Honestly, I was like, I'm gonna cry right now. I can't stop.
Yeah, that's funny. And he's your favorite Spider-Man, right?
Yeah, he's the best one.
Yeah. Actually, I haven't watched any of the old ones lately. I probably need to watch them again just for fun. But yeah, fun time. That was fun. Mom showed me all that. I was like, "Oh, let's give it to her at Dad's birthday party," and we did. And you cried, and I was just like, "Dude, that's so weird."
It's okay though,
Okay.
because I cried later with Grandpa too.
Yes, you did.
I
Yeah.
sang a little song, my grandpa's favorite song for him, and as I started singing it, I couldn't even like sing the first words because I saw him out in like the crowd of people at his party. I looked at him and he's like already crying because he knows the song, and I had asked him a couple weeks earlier like, what's your favorite song? And it's You've Got a Friend by James Taylor, which I felt like actually suited the occasion very well. So, great song, but I couldn't even like start singing. My voice was cracking. I was like crying. I think everybody else thought I was just nervous. But it wasn't that. It was just that I looked at him and he was crying, so I started crying. And somebody was like, "Go up there with her." And he came up and he kind of sang along with me, but out of the mic because he was like, "I have a terrible voice. I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna sing in the mic with you."
Yeah, that was the longest song ever.
It was. It's a pretty long song, and I'm like standing there crying, trying to sing. And then after people would come up to me and be like, "You did a great job. Like, there's no need to be nervous." I was like, "Oh, I wasn't super nervous. I was just
Yeah.
my grandpa was
Emotional.
crying."
Yep. Yeah, that's fun. What book are you reading right now?
The Book Thief.
The Book Thief. How far into it are you? I started reading it too. I'm not saying that to be sarcastic. I'm just. It was funny because you said you were reading, and I was like, I want to read what Cailyn's reading. So I started like rushing through it, thinking I wanted to keep up with you, and turned out I was like 20 pages ahead of you. I was like, oh, I guess I can slow down a little
I
bit.
just passed the Jesse Owens incident, I think, or
I
I'm
don't
in
think
the
I've
middle
gotten
of
to
it.
that. Yeah.
I might be in the middle of it.
Are you liking it so far?
Yeah, it's really good.
It's kind of an interesting book. I didn't expect that when
It's
the way it's laid
from
out.
the point of view of like death, right?
Yeah.
Death is narrating
Right.
the story, but it's like really cool.
Yeah, and that's not only the format of it and the way it's written, but the fact that it's written from Death's perspective was that was shocking to me. I had no idea. I should know that, but I didn't. I mean, I guess I shouldn't say I should know that. I've never read it, but I do know a lot about a lot of books. Your favorite book is The Fault in Our Stars, right?
Yeah.
What do you like about that one?
I don't know. I guess it just never gets old for me. I've read it a few times. I recently reread it. And I just love, I guess, how real it is, kind of. And it breaks my heart how real it is, but it's still, I don't know. I feel like it's just so, I don't know how to describe it, honestly. I love the love story between them and the kind of like plot twist where you think that she's the one dying and she's gonna, spoiler alert, sorry.
Turn it off now if you don't want to know the end.
You think that she's the one dying and she's gonna die before him, and then suddenly his cancer comes back, and it's like you thought he was like a 1 in a million. It was an 80% chance that he would survive, and he was that 20%, and it was just so sad.
Yeah. Yeah, he writes some. I can't remember if I've never read the book. I saw the movie. I'm gonna read the book after Book Thief, because it's one that I've got so many. I ended up on the like wrong side of book talk, so now there's like 1,000 books I gotta read. Right now I'm rereading Harry Potter because I haven't read it in like, I thought it was 10 years, but I went back and I think it was 15 years ago that I read it.
Gosh.
Yeah, I know, it was a long time ago. And there's so much in there that I don't even remember happening because it doesn't happen in the movies, especially Order of the Phoenix. There's a lot of stuff in Order of the Phoenix where I was like, wow, I don't remember any of this.
Yeah.
This is pretty cool. And I'm really hoping that new show that comes out, I hope that they go into, like, I hope they don't try to change the whole
New Harry Potter
thing. Yeah, there's a new Harry Potter series coming out, I think,
cool.
either later this year or next year. I think the first season's supposed to be this year. And I'm hoping they don't do that just so they can change everything. I hope they kind of like add in some of the details that couldn't go into the movies.
Yeah.
Because there's not much. I mean, I think it was originally supposed to be redoing the movies. I was like, the old movies are almost perfect. I mean, like there's not much you can do with those except add in some of those extra details. But I don't know. We'll see. I'm kind of excited for the series to come out, but we'll see what happens. Hopefully they don't do to it what they did with Lord of the Rings, but we'll see.
We'll see.
Yeah. What are some other books you like? You're a big reader like I am.
The Holy Bible.
Yeah, we know that one.
That's my favorite one. Let's see. I read Dear John by Nicholas Sparks. Honestly, I thought he was probably going to be a little bit overrated. Like, I like his movies, but I didn't actually understand how fantastic of a writer he is. I was so invested in the story. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so great.
Really? Huh.
Yeah.
I would have expected him to be overrated too.
Yeah, I don't know. I was expecting to like it, but not be super impressed. Like I've read better, and I probably have, but like he's a great writer. I was surprised by how invested I was in the story and how what an amazing job he did.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, maybe I'll have to read those too then. I'm on that same side of book talk. There's a series that I've known about for a while called A Court of Thorns and Roses, but it's kind of, I think it's more, I haven't read it yet, so I think it leans heavily on kind of romance and stuff like that, and so I wasn't sure, and then now all of a sudden like all the men are reading it, and I'm like, gosh dang it, now that's something else I gotta read, and like, now it's not just a woman's book anymore, it's all the men reading it. So and actually, oh shoot, I should have set this up. There's one, if you guys look this up, you might be able to find it, but there's one TikTok where this girl's husband does voice work, so he can do a whole bunch of like a bunch of different cartoon characters, Mickey Mouse, Winnie the Pooh, just a bunch of different. So he's reading A Court of Thorns and Roses, and if you've read it, if you know what I'm talking about, he's reading some of the spicier parts of it in these different in like Mickey Mouse voice and like Kronk's voice, and it's just so. I haven't even read it yet, and I was like, dude, I could listen to the audiobook read like this the whole time. It's just so funny.
That's so
He's
funny.
so good. Yeah, if you guys can find that, look it up. I should have set it up so that we could do it. In fact, I wonder if, oh no, my phone's recording us, so I can't. But yeah, super funny. But yeah, like I said, I'm reading Harry Potter right now. I'm on Order of the Phoenix. I should finish that this weekend. And then I think the next series I'm going to is A Court of Thorns and Roses. We'll see how that is. It's supposedly really, really good the way she sets up her world building and her character building and stuff like that. So I'm kind of excited to read it. There was and we can cut this out because I don't want to embarrass you, but there's something I want to ask you about, and the reason I want to ask you is because, and we don't even have to get specific. I think you'll know what I'm talking
I'm
about when I
scared.
just say no, no, no. Don't be scared.
Okay.
I, I I think you'll know what I'm talking about when I kind of describe it, and we don't have to go into the details of it, but because there's a question I want to ask you. But do you remember a few months ago you were reading of Mice and Men, and you had a question about it,
Oh
and then
god.
we had that conversation, and
Yeah.
so what I'm curious about, I won't embarrass you by saying what the you
No,
can say
you're
it
all
if you
good.
want, but okay.
You're all good.
So there's a part, and if you've got little ones listening, you may not want to listen to this for the next few seconds, just because it's a little more mature content. So in the book, there's a character that always wears a glove, and then one of the other characters says, "Yeah, he's keeping it. He keeps lotion in there. He's keeping his hands soft for his
Vaseline.
he keeps Vaseline in there because he's
Yeah.
keeping his hands soft for his wife." And you didn't understand what that meant, so I had to kind of describe it and try to figure it out, and then um, and it was I actually didn't mind having the conversation. It just caught me off guard because I thought it was all stuff that you would have talked about with Mom already, and you kept asking questions. I was like, "Oh, you don't know this yet? Okay, all right, here we go. We're in it."
There's so much to learn, Dad. Like I
Well, I know, but
Mom is never gonna tell me enough.
I know, but as much as you talked to Mom, I thought you'd talked about a lot of this. So you guys can use your imagination. I had to kind of describe what it meant and why he was keeping his hands soft for his wife and all that kind of stuff. And um, but the question I have is, so you remember that conversation? So I told my therapist about that conversation the following week, and her jaw hit the floor because she was like, "You did what?" I was like, "What do you mean?" And she said, "Of all of my clients and all the people I've talked to, I have never known a father that would have a conversation like that with his daughter." I was like, "Really?" I was just
She
having a
asked a
conversation.
question,
Like, she asked a
I
question.
answered.
I was just saying, and she was like, "No, like, you have no idea how rare that is that a father would be brave enough to have that conversation with his daughter." And this isn't to toot my own horn, it's to ask you, like, how did you feel having that conversation? Because I got curious. I was like, it didn't seem like anything to me, but were there any feelings? I don't know how to ask this, but were there any feelings behind that conversation? Was there any point where you were like, this is different? Like, it's weird that I'm talking to my dad about this, or it's.
Not really. I mean, I usually talk to Mom about not even just things like that, but lots of stuff. But I don't think it's weird to talk to you about it. I don't find it weird. I don't find it extremely uncomfortable. I probably find it just about as uncomfortable as I do with Mom, but I'm like it's it's a part of life.
Yeah.
I feel like people who are like embarrassed or you know scared to talk about those things, why? It's
Yeah.
you don't I mean, even if it's like something you don't want to do, that's fine, but I I just don't find it to be a subject that should be like you shouldn't be uncomfortable talking about things like that, especially with your parents. I feel like it's good to have a good relationship with your parents and be able to ask them things like that, because I'm sure a lot of kids would be scared to ask about those things and kind of just brush it off or even look it up, which may end worse. So please don't
Yeah.
do that. Please just ask your parents if you have a question. And I know that not everybody has the same relationship with their parents that I do. But I don't know. I feel like if you have a good relationship with your parents and you have a question, just ask it.
Yeah. Well, but that's the kind of interesting thing, is that even people who have good, according to my therapist, the way she was describing it, even people that have good relationships with their parents, like, that's just not something dads are normally comfortable
Mm-hmm.
talking with.
Yeah.
And like I say, I'm not trying to like lift myself up as like
Mm-hmm.
super dad or anything. I was just curious if you felt anything that night of like, oh, this is weird, or
No.
oh, this is so, whether that's a Yeah, that's interesting because I just like I guess that's just our relationship. Like it wasn't really
Yeah.
it was just normal for me, but I mean, honest to God, my therapist praised me up one end and down the other. I was just like, I didn't do anything. Like all I did was have a
I
conversation
just
with my daughter.
answered her
It's like,
question,
yeah.
guys. What's going on?
I mean, it almost kind of made me sad because I was like, dude, seriously? Like dads just don't do that? She said,
Yeah,
no, no, they don't. Like
that's
you're.
really
I was
sad.
like, huh, okay, well, I guess I guess I'll just put one in the corner for me. I guess. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you like to do for fun?
Well, theater. um, let's see. I like to read. I like to listen to music. Um, let's see. What else do I do? I feel like I get so busy. I mean, not as much during the week because I'm homeschooled, but like especially when Tech Week comes around for shows and stuff, but I really enjoy doing that. And I enjoy singing. Um I'm not the best dancer, but it's fun. It's a fun thing to do.
You do good though.
Thank you.
You- I mean, not that I know anything about dancing, but
I,
you look like you're following the steps. So
do I look like everyone else?
usually today was a
Okay.
little bit rough, but I know you guys just learned some of those dances. So
To be fair,
yeah.
he okay, we finished a dance and he looked at me, he was like you messed up two times. And I was like, to be fair, I learned this like 2 days
Oh, I
ago.
know. I did that on purpose because you're such a perfectionist that I was messing with you. I was like, you messed up twice.
I was like,
So
you know what, Dad?
disappointed.
I don't care.
But you did kind of, didn't you?
Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
That's funny. Um, what do you have any idea what you want to? I know there have been a few things that have been tossed around, but and you guys are freshmen, right?
Hmm.
So you have a few years to decide. But do you know kind of what direction you want to go in with your life, career wise?
Um, I really, I really find joy in like listening to people. I just feel like it's so special for people to have someone to talk to and not someone who does all the talking. So I like to be that person for people. So um, I've been interested in a lot of things in my life, but the most recent one is like counseling, therapy, stuff like that. I went to a prayer walk for Love Life, an organization that's like their goal is to end abortion, and that just like it from the moment what's his name, Sean, he
Mm-hmm.
from the moment Sean got up on stage in church and was talking about it, I there was like this pull on my heart. I was like, this is something worth, spending time praying for. And um if it's still like a thing going around when I'm older, I was like, I think it'd be cool to counsel like families and um help them through that time, whether they're families who have like traumatic experiences from that stuff, like past trauma, or they're, making a decision still. I don't know. I just think it'd be a really cool um, path for me. Um, but like I said, their goal is to end abortion. So if in if it happens, like by the time I'm older, if it's like not a thing anymore, then maybe I'll pursue like something else with that counseling and therapy stuff. I don't know, that just had a pull on my heart. So I still
Yeah.
pray for it all the time. I pray for that organization. I
I don't
pray
think that's
over
going away by the time you're older.
probably not. I'm sorry guys, but
Yeah.
um but yeah, I pray over that organization. I pray over all the families, all the workers. We had a bunch of prayer points. We prayed for the parents, the mothers, the children to be saved, the workers, the staff, the pastors in our churches, and authority, like leaders of our country. And I think it's important to pray for the pastors. Like, it wasn't something that I would have thought of at first. Even the leaders, like authority, they're not something I would have thought of to pray over that situation. But I think it's important to pray over pastors, because those things can be hard to talk about. And I know that a lot of pastors will avoid those conversations to the best of their ability. But I think it needs to be addressed, and the Bible calls us to pray for authority and pray for people leading and ruling over us, because God put them in that position for a reason. So whether we like them or not, I feel like if you don't like them, that gives you all the more reason to pray for them.
Yeah. That's good. I'm actually having Sean on the podcast in the next couple of weeks. So, yeah, if you want to join us for that. Yeah.
It really, it broke my heart, but just amazed me, that statistic that he mentioned about how, I think it was in 2023, was it 18,000 abortions were committed in California alone, which is enough to fill 4 football stadiums.
Yeah.
That, he started naming stadiums, and my heart was just it was shattered. I was like, that is 18,000 babies killed, 4 stadiums filled with,
Yeah. And we'll talk about it when we have him on
Mm-hmm.
within the next couple of weeks. But I do want to talk a little bit about, because when you say ending abortion, I think a lot of people go directly to bullhorns and you're all sinners and you suck, and
No.
but that's not what Love Life does.
No, that's not what they do.
They do a lot of praying. They do a lot of offering alternatives. They offer free ultrasounds that you can look at your baby. I think it's 3D ultrasounds too, I think.
I don't know.
And they don't badger you. They just offer you, because you guys kind of just stay outside, right, and let people come to you, and you don't really run up to people and hey.
Yeah.
And I think that's an important distinction, because there are some organizations and some churches that do that kind of thing, that just come shouting and calling people sinners and telling them they're going to hell and all that. And I don't think that really helps anything. But really all Love Life does is say you have options, because a lot of times there are a lot of abortions that happen just because the parents think that there's no other choice. And if we offer them that choice, and I would take it even farther, since we're having the conversation. One of the things that is kind of I have so many things on my heart. I'm trying to focus just on human trafficking and put a dent in that. But I'm super proud of you for taking this on, and together I think we can tackle both. But one of the things I don't think we think about enough is the fact that there's half a million kids in foster care right now. And I think, and maybe Love Life is doing a good job of this. I don't know. I'll talk to Sean about it a little bit when he's here. But sometimes I don't think there's enough focus on making sure, okay, great, we convince them to have the baby, give it life. We also need to make sure that we help them through all that, counseling, resources, mentorship, all that kind of. And I think Love Life does do some of that, if not all of it. So kudos to them. They're doing a good job. But
there's also our church partners with Zoe, formerly known as Corona Life Services,
right?
And they do a lot of that work too, like ultrasounds, and there was another organization by the park we were praying at. Well, we were praying in front of the abortion center, but we started at a park and walked over there. So there's another center around there. can't recall what they're called, but they work with Love Life as well. And so yeah, I guess they like reach out to other organizations that work in that field and like giving the women ultrasounds and counseling and just helping with all that.
Yeah. Yeah. So it doesn't come from. I think that's where a lot of people's minds just automatically go to is, watching a bunch of Christians with pitchforks and torches
Yeah.
trying to, it's
We
like,
got a
but
couple people
we're not all
yelling at
like that,
us,
guys. Like we're here to help. We're here to pray. We're
Yeah.
here to, walk you through it. And,
Mhm.
if you make the other choice, you make the other choice. But we just want
Yeah.
people to know that, like, there is a choice because, so, it's not just abortion. Sometimes there are other things in life where you just feel like you don't have a
Mhm.
choice. And there's always a choice. So.
It was also sad to me hearing like there were a couple cars that passed by us, and like one lady yelled at us, I think, to go home and mind her own business, and then another car like honked at us. And that was sad for me because I was like, okay, well, first of all, you're not minding your business because we're peacefully praying over here. And I don't know if this is all abortion centers, probably not, but this one has, the one we went to in Riverside has like huge walls kind of.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a security guard by, I don't think there's a gate, but there's like an entrance and a security guard there. So we don't go past there. We don't go inside there. There were a couple ladies, I think, from that organization I was talking about in Riverside, and they would like, let the people going in know that there were options, not like being rude and yelling at them, but
Mm-hmm.
like you don't have to do this. And there were like, I think they were handing out postcards for Love Life and stuff. So it wasn't, they had megaphones, but that was just so they could hear. It's not like yelling at them. It's, just making sure they can hear. And I know that one family decided to choose life that day. I don't know how many did, but the next day our church told us that one family chose life, and that was just amazing. I mean, in the long run, it doesn't seem like one is a big deal, but it is.
Yeah.
It matters for that family.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. And, same thing, like we don't judge. We have a lot of grace. Like, people have had abortions, people have done it, people are going to have abortions. We're not, condemning you to hell for that. We're just trying to, for those that are doing it just because they think there's no other option. And we can get into, there's a lot I'm going to get into, so I'll save it for Sean. Couldn't think of his name for a second. I'll save a lot of that for Sean, so we have stuff to talk about. But just to make it clear, make sure people aren't like, you guys are those types of Christians. No, we're not.
No.
Like, we're the type of Christians that just, you guys
The Lord
have
is the
options. Yeah, you guys have options. We just want to give you the options, and you choose.
You choose to accept it or not.
Yeah. Well, is there anything else you want to talk about?
I don't know, because you have me come here with no preparation.
No, I know. I'm just... But we've been here for an hour, so maybe something comes to your mind, and if it hasn't, then fine, we can end it. If anything has come to your mind in the last, while we've been talking, then...
Well, what have you been reading in your Bible recently?
I need to get back into my Bible. I will be very vulnerable right now. I haven't been. I've been through quite a bit of struggle the last couple of years that I don't want to, for the sake of time, it would take another hour to talk about all that. So I'm not going to get into it right now, but I am trying to find my way back and I never left. I
Mhm.
never like I never stopped believing in God. It was what I believe about God that I was kind of struggling with. And so it's um yeah, it's been interesting. I'm reluctant to say this just because I don't want I just don't want to start an argument online. So, but and there's only one person that it could be, so I think people would figure it out. But um, someone said to me, "You still believe in God after all that our youth group went through?" And I was like, "Yeah, it wasn't God's fault." And that's a whole other story too. That when I was not in youth group, but it was like a transition phase where I had just graduated high school, I think. So I was kind of interning, and there was just a lot of turmoil and stuff. And um, so, yeah, so that was something he said to me. It was like, "You still believe in God after all that went?" I was like, "Yeah, like I've held on to it. I've never."
Mhm.
So even with my struggles over the last couple of years, it's never been like I don't believe in God and I'm
Mhm.
leaving. I'm done. It's just trying to make sense of the world around me
Mhm.
when with God existing, not believing that He's causing all the evil in the world, but still
Yeah.
trying to reconcile the like. Particularly, I keep saying my biggest thing is human trafficking and just the idea that somebody can do that to
Mhm.
somebody. And I know it's just depravity. I know that they grow up thinking that it's normal. There's actually an organization that I don't have much of. I have a relationship with nor it's just like all kind of connected. So there's Ride My Road, who I'm friends with the owner of, with the um, director of that, and then there's another one called Epic Project, who I've met him through her. I don't know him as well, but I've met him through her. And Epic Project, what they're trying to do is get rid of the demand. So I guess, and this was interesting to me in hearing him and talking to him. Like, there's a lot of guys that go to prostitutes or go to sex slaves just because they think that's something that men do, like that's just a normal thing. So what Epic Project is trying to do is like mentor men and like, no, that's not a normal thing. That's just what they were taught, and they're like, no, that's
Mhm.
not normal, man. Like, men don't do that. um, and in so doing, they're trying to take away the demand so that there's not so much demand for it, and we can kind of eliminate that aspect of it. So anyway, that's a long-winded way of saying, just trying to reconcile the fact that, and I don't blame God for it. I'm just trying to reconcile my desire to just take a fool out for just like it's so it's so hard to just reconcile how evil people can be,
Yeah.
um, and not even to the point. Sometimes in the evangelical church, we can get to the point of just like seeing our neighbor as evil, because they're living in some sin or another, but like real, true, unadulterated evil of like, I'm going to kidnap you and force you to have, um, I'm probably going to have to,
Force you to do things you don't
yeah,
want to
force you to
do.
do things that you don't want to do. I just wanted to make sure I didn't, but I think SA is the only one I can't say. So hopefully YouTube will be fine with the rest of it. Um, Force you to do things that you don't want to do against your will and all that. Like, I can't, especially to a child, especially to a child.
Mhm.
I cannot, I
Well, you
can't
have a
fathom
daughter.
that, and I can't fathom the people that pay to do that either.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It just doesn't. It's funny. I tell the story sometimes when we were in youth group. I used to get angry and yell at the kids because they were talking when the youth pastor was up trying to teach, and it was a time in my life when growing up with grandpa, like it just didn't compute. Like, why are you talking when someone else is talking? Like, it literally did not compute in my head. Like, what are you doing? Why are you talking? She's up there talking. What's,
Mhm.
So I would get angry and yell, and looking back on it, I'm like, okay, I kind of understand it now, but I kind of had the same thing for trafficking children, where it just does not compute in my head that you
Mhm.
would be able to do that to another human being. So, um, like that for me is just the true evil, and something that
Yeah.
I've just had a very big fire burning in my heart to do something about it, and been
It's so
frustrated that I
hard to
couldn't do
fathom
more.
things like that. Like, not
Yeah,
even just that, but any evil in the world, like murder. Um,
yeah.
you know, uh, there's so much evil in the world, and it's hard to like really think about it and be like, how could you even continue to do that? How could you even continue to live that way? I don't.
A lot of times there's a disconnect. There's a disconnect in the brain, and other times hurt people, and I know
Yeah.
I've heard that a lot, but um, yeah, those in power that, like, the ones that really, that I feel is just pure unadulterated evil, is people that just have so much money that they're bored with it, and like this is their way of controlling someone else just because they're bored, kind of thing.
Mhm.
Um, that one is just, that one gets to me. So anyway, that's not really the topic for this podcast, but that's kind of, like I say, a long-winded way of saying where I've been. And so my, to come back, swing back and answer your question, I was talking to Dr. Thorson last week about one of my goals this year is to get back into my Bible and read it with fresh eyes. I'll read it on Sunday mornings when I'm in church, but I haven't really read it on my own in
Mhm.
probably a couple of years. And now I want to read it as though it's my first time reading it,
Mhm.
and see if anything's different in my eyes, or if I read something differently, or if I understand something differently than I did before, kind of thing. So,
Do you know where you're gonna start?
um, probably Genesis. I don't know. I may
Just go
just
through.
start in the beginning and go all
Yeah.
the way through.
Yeah.
Just because I'm a linear thinker, it's hard for me to start in the middle of something and
Yeah.
try to make sense of it. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's hard to leave the world of fiction too.
Yeah, that's true.
Not that there's not some cool stories in the Bible too, but
Yeah, I was actually like, I've been reading through Genesis, and I don't know, it's just amazing how it really captures me like a storybook. It's like, there's adventure, there's in the Bible there's all kinds of adventure and romance and um you know um religion, worshiping God, learning, all kinds of wisdom, like in Proverbs and stuff. My favorite is John. I actually recommended that to a friend the other day who's like starting to get into, um, wanting to learn more about God. So I recommended John, James, and Romans. But out of the four Gospels, my favorite is probably John, because I like how it doesn't start from the beginning of Jesus' life and tell the story of how, Mary and Joseph went to Bethlehem, and she gave birth to a child named Jesus. And but it starts off with revealing who Jesus is by saying, like, well, the connection that I made to it was that, so the first few verses of John chapter 1 say, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. It was with him from the beginning. Through him all things were made. Without him nothing has been made which has been made. In him there was life, and that life was the light of man. The light shines in the darkness, but the darkness has not understood it or overcome it." I learned understood it, but overcome it might
mm-hmm.
be easier to um, comprehend. But the connection that I made as I started reading it was that the Bible says that Jesus is the Word in the flesh. And this is starting off with telling me that the Word was there from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
So we know that Jesus was there from the beginning. And this goes into like a whole thing of the Trinity and stuff. Um, And then I also really liked the end of those verses where it says that in him there was life, and that life was the light of man. I've also been learning recently about how, like, Jesus is the light, and we're a city built on a hill. When Jesus is truly in your heart, it is impossible for that light not to shine through you. And so I've kind of been trying to apply that to my life and learning to get out of the habit of seeking, I guess, attention and to glorify myself, which isn't necessarily what I was doing all the time. I genuinely love sharing the love of God and being a light for people, but sometimes it can be like, this is for people to like me. Sometimes that can kind of work its way in. And sometimes that's just a lie, honestly. Like, even if I'm doing it to bring glory to God, that lie can still sink into my head and be like, you're not actually doing this for him. You're doing this for yourself. You're doing this so that people will like you. You're doing this so that people will do it back to you. And I gotta like unteach myself that, because it's not to bring glory to myself or to just get people to love me. It's so that I can just share the light that God has placed inside of me, and I am promised that people will hate me, so I can't get everybody to like me. And I just have to accept that that's okay. I'm very much a people pleaser, but that's also a habit I'm trying to get out of.
Yeah, you'll grow out of it. You're still young. Took me 40 years, so.
Took Mom a while too.
Yeah, it's and I keep coming back to the type of person that is out to glorify themselves won't even ask themselves that question. Like, you won't care. Like, you won't care whether or not you're trying to glorify yourself. So the fact that you're asking yourself the question, it's kind of like what we've always said about the unforgivable sin. Like, if you're worried that you've committed the unforgivable sin, you probably haven't, because someone who had wouldn't care. Like, it wouldn't even be a thought in their head. So
yeah, I think I also like put pressure on myself sometimes, I guess, to be God's light. It should just shine through me. Like, God does that work. But I mean, I guess an example, my theater does awards after the shows, and they have all kinds of awards, like for helping backstage and helping in the green room, and spotlight award, like the directors noticed you were just so you shine on the stage. And then there's the biggest one, the only one that the cast votes on. The rest of them the directors do, but the one that the cast votes on is the Good Shepherd Award, and the award goes to the person that you feel like has been the most Christ-like and has been welcoming and encouraging to you. And I think sometimes it's easy to feel the pressure on myself to like get that award, because then it's like, okay, I did what I needed to do. I shined the light. But I try to get out of that mindset, and I pray about it, and I'm like, God, please help me get out of this mindset, because none of this is to glorify myself. My reward will be in heaven. I don't need an award from my castmates telling me that I did a good job loving them, because award or not, I know I did.
Yeah.
That, the award shouldn't tell me that I accomplished my goal. It should, my reward will be in heaven, like I said. So.
Well, also there are a lot of you that do a good job. Like, there's the cool part about this group is there's actually competition in that award.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there's enough people acting that way, acting like Jesus, that that there is no shoe in. There is no, like, there, and I love that about this group, that there's no, that you're not necessarily going to win that award, because
There's always
there's
like
other
20
people
people
doing.
nominated with
Yeah,
at least one vote.
right.
It's like
Yeah, that's
it
amazing. I mean,
doesn't
more
mean
than
that you
the
did
fact that
bad.
there's so much talent, and I think that's part of why there's so much talent, but more than that is just the um I don't know if I should name names, but there's a new kid that came in that I was a little bit like, oh man, because, oh, how do I describe this? He was just new, so I kind of, after a few shows in a couple years, and I was just like, who's this new kid kind of thing.
Yeah.
Not too badly, but just like, who is this guy? And then I witnessed him with other kids and was just like, dude, you're done, Cameron. Just like, just shut up. This kid's amazing. Like, I actually know his family, and I know his aunt, and I know, people in his family, and I've told them, like, more than his talent is just what I've witnessed in him as a human being. And I witnessed that with a lot of those kids, and it's just, I love that you guys are a part of that group, because it's so incredible. And so um it's almost more church than church sometimes.
Yeah.
I think,
Everybody's
the way
so
it's,
incredibly encouraged.
because not it here's the thing, is that not every one of those kids is a Christian.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, not every one of, and the biggest testament to me about the love of this group is that those kids don't stay for a show and then leave because they feel looked down upon or rejected. Like, those kids stay for years, not being a Christian, stay for years in a group called Christian Arts and Theater, because the people there are so welcoming and so Christ-like and so loving that they feel comfortable being there, even though they don't believe what everyone else believes. And I love that about this group. I love that about this group, and just wish, sometimes we get, sometimes in the mainstream church, we just get so over the top about, like, oh, you screwed up, so you need to repent. You need to, instead of just like loving people into Jesus's arms. And I feel like this group really does that well. So, yeah, I'm very happy you guys are a part of it. I'm very proud of you. Like, I've never heard one negative comment about you guys from people in that group. In fact, all I hear is good stuff. All three, Cailyn back there doing the producing, I hear only good things about you. Liam just joined, so, but yeah, super proud of you guys, and glad that you're a part of that group. And watching even you almost made it through. Just the way that, oh gosh dang it, I thought I turned that off. There's some sort of hand motion where if I do a certain hand motion, it sets off the fireworks, and I thought I turned it off, but
I do that on Zoom all the time in my class.
Really? I don't know how to turn it off.
I don't know.
No, it's like thumbs up, I think, causes it to, yeah. See, I don't know why. I don't know how to turn that off.
There's like a heart too.
Yeah. See, there you go. Which is, I mean, it is kind of rad. I mean, can I make it happen? My fingers are too thick. Yeah, quiet over there.
Your fingers are too thick.
The problem is I talk with my hands a lot, so sometimes I'll just make the motion and then it sets it off. And I tried to turn it off today, but I was getting somewhere. But who cares? The fireworks distracted me. Anyway, just super proud of the way that you treat, people that don't believe the same things you do, and kind of had different lifestyles. So yeah, super glad that you're, now that I've come out of my distraction and lost the whole point. But anyway, I think we'll end it there. We've been talking for a while. So by the time this comes out, this is going to come out on Tuesday. So this coming Friday, if you're watching this, Friday 7 o'clock, Saturday 2 and 7,
Mhm.
Sunday 2 o'clock, and then
The following
the
weekend as well.
following weekend, go to catcorona.org,
Yeah.
catcorona.org, and you can see the show times and everything. It's really, really. I mean, even if you've seen The Lion King before, I'm telling you guys, Colin was a part of this group for 2 or 3 shows before I got involved, and I went and saw the
I
shows
was
just
too.
because I was what?
I was too. I joined at the same time.
You joined at the same time?
Yeah.
Were you in those shows? Okay, so Colin and Cailyn were both part of 2 or 3 shows. And I went and saw the shows just to support them, but I wasn't really, because I thought it was a passing phase. I thought, oh, dude, they're not going to be theater kids. Like, this is just going to be something that, comes and goes. And finally, I realized after about the third show, I was like, all right, well, they're taking this seriously and they're going to keep doing it. So I guess I'll get involved. So that's how I got involved with doing backstage. And like I was saying earlier, it's interesting that there's, I don't know how many kids in this group. But I am very proud of probably 70 kids that aren't my own. This group is absolutely, when you think children's theater, don't think of it as children. Like, some of these kids could go on Broadway right now and do just fine. Like, don't think of it as children's theater. Like, these are very talented kids. They're very,
Mhm.
not even just my own. Like, I'm not trying to riz up my own kids, but um nice. Knew I'd get an embarrassing comment in there at one point. Um, but the other kids that are in the group, like, just such amazing talent and such amazing kids. So if you like musical theater, or even if you're kind of, if you, I'll tell you a story. So Cailyn's best friend's dad went to see Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. It was their summer show, so the adults were in it also, and he kind of didn't really want to go at first. He was just like, "Oh, I've seen it before. I don't really want to go." And he was grinning ear to ear after he saw it.
Yeah.
Like, it's it's really an amazingly talented group.
Even my best
Um,
friend though, like, um, I invited her to my first few shows, and she came, but she was like, I I kind of tried to get her to do it with me, and she was like, I'm not really interested in musical theater and stuff, but like I'll gladly come and watch you in your shows. Like, I'd love to come see you. And she loves it every single
yeah,
time she watches me, and I think it's probably because I'm in it, but I still can't get her to do it with me.
that's all right. She comes and supports you.
Yeah.
She's an amazing friend. I like her.
Yeah.
Um. Anyway, now that I've talked it all up, catcorona.org, catcorona.org. So it'll be this week. It'll be Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and you can look up the times on the website. And then the following week, there's a Thursday morning and evening show, I think, and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday again. So go check it out, catcorona.org. You really don't want to miss this if you live in Corona or any of the surrounding areas. It's really an amazing show. Like I said, I've seen Lion King before. I've seen the cartoon, and I've seen the musical, and they're really doing a great, and it's rough. Like, today was the first, like, full 8-hour rehearsal, so it's still, we're still working out kinks and everything, and I still say that it looks amazing. So
Mhm.
by the time they're done and have all the kinks worked out and everything going as it's supposed to, um, it's going to be an amazing show. So go check that out. Check them out. Once you go to one, you're going to want to go to them all. They do 4 a year, and the summer show includes adults, so lots of fun.
Yeah,
And
you might want to join us.
yeah, come out and join them. If you're, I don't know what is it, 6 to 18 or something like that is the age range, 5
Well,
to
yeah,
18.
but also I was saying for this summer show, if you're an adult listening,
Oh yeah, you
anywhere
can.
from the ages of what is it? It depends on the show. Sometimes they have 15 and up, but
I
like
think she says
she says
5
8
to
to
99 or
91.
something like
5 to 99.
that.
I think she says like 8 to 91 or something.
8 to 91 is
92.
that what it is? Yeah,
Yeah,
she's funny.
it's tons of fun.
It is tons of fun. It's fun to watch and fun to be a part of. So we're gonna end it there for today. Our next one, I'm hoping it's either gonna be a solo one if I can't, because I want to try to get these out weekly. So if I can't schedule them in the next week, we're still working out our kinks here too, producing and everything. But we will have Sean from uh,
Love life.
Love Life on as our next one, and you're welcome to join us for that one. I'd imagine you'd probably have fun doing that.
Sweet.
Otherwise, that's it. We'll catch you guys in the next episode.